In the quiet hospital corridor, Amaka stood with her heart heavy and her mind racing. Her sister, Chioma, lay in a hospital bed, unconscious after a life-altering accident. The steady beeping of the heart monitor echoed through the sterile room, marking every second of Amaka's growing regret. This moment felt like a painful culmination of everything that had gone wrong between them. She could still hear the echoes of their last argument, the harsh words, the misunderstandings, and the silent distance that had stretched between them over the years. Amaka's eyes glazed over as memories of their childhood flashed before her. How had they ended up here, with Chioma lying vulnerable in a hospital bed? And their once unbreakable bond shattered. The weight of the questions hung heavy in her chest. What had happened to the carefree days when they shared secrets under the mango tree, promising to always be together? How had they become strangers to each other? Amaka and Chioma had grown up in the vibrant town of Ibadan, Nigeria, in a home full of love but lacking in material wealth. Their father, a retired teacher, taught them the value of knowledge and wisdom, while their mother, a seamstress, created a warm and nurturing home. Theirs was a family built on love, laughter, and a deep sense of togetherness. Amaka, the older sister, was the steady and responsible one. She had a calm and composed demeanor that made her the protector of their small world. Whether it was helping their mother with household chores or taking care of Chioma, Amaka was the glue that held everything together. She loved her younger sister deeply, always putting her first and ensuring she was safe, even when it meant sacrificing her own happiness. Chioma, with her infectious laughter and boundless energy, was the complete opposite. She was a free spirit, wild and adventurous, and could light up any room with her charm. Her world was filled with endless dreams and possibilities, and she embraced life. As they grew older, the differences between them became more pronounced. While Amaka continued to focus on academics, driven by the desire to create a better future, Chioma lived for the moment. She was more interested in exploring life, following her heart, and enjoying the freedom that came with youth. While Amaka dreamed of going to university and creating a life full of stability, Chioma was drawn to more spontaneous pursuits, ever chasing the thrill of new experiences. This divergence in paths created a subtle tension. Amaka, ever the protector, worried for Chioma. She saw her younger sister's carefree nature as reckless, and she tried to guide her, often urging her to think about her future. But Chioma, always stubborn, rejected Amaka's advice. "I'm not like you," Chioma would say. "I don't want to be tied down by your rules. I want to live my own life." Amaka's heart would ache at her sister's words, and though she understood, she couldn't help but feel a growing distance. She wanted the best for Chioma, but she also wanted to protect her from the consequences of her reckless decisions. It was a struggle for Amaka, as her role as the protector and caretaker conflicted with her desire to see Chioma find her own path. The tension between their different values began to pull them apart, and the once unbreakable bond they had shared started to unravel. Things took a turn for the worse when Chioma met a charming boy, someone who seemed to understand her wild, free-spirited nature. He made her feel seen and appreciated in a way that Amaka, in all her seriousness and responsibility, could not. Amaka, ever the protector, saw the warning signs. She warned Chioma that the boy was not good for her, but Chioma, determined to live her life on her terms, resisted. "You don't understand me, Amaka," she snapped one evening. "Stop trying to control everything in my life." The words stung, but Amaka couldn't stop herself from trying to intervene. The words stung, but Amaka couldn't stop herself from trying to intervene. She feared that Chioma was falling for someone who would lead her down a dangerous path, but Chioma was too far gone. She was in love with the idea of freedom, with the boy who promised her a life outside the confines of responsibility. One day, Chioma stormed out of the house, furious with Amaka for trying to control her choices. She was determined to live her own life, no matter the cost. Amaka watched her go, the pain of losing her sister settling deep in her chest. The rift between them had become too wide to breach. The final blow came when Chioma, in her pursuit of independence, made a reckless decision that ended in an accident. The details didn't matter to Amaka. What mattered was that her sister was hurt. Chioma's wild freedom had led her to a place where she no longer cared about the consequences, and now Amaka was left to pick up the pieces. Amaka received a late-night phone call. Chioma has been in an accident. You need to come now. Her heart raced, every second of the silence on the other end dragging her further into panic. By the time she arrived at the hospital, her mind was filled with terrifying images of what could have happened. The doctors were speaking in hushed tones. It was reckless. They whispered, "She's lucky to be alive." As she paced the sterile hallways, Amaka thought about the last conversation she'd had with Chioma. It had been harsh, filled with accusations and blame. Amaka had warned her about the boy, but Chioma had refused to listen. Was this the price of that stubbornness? Amaka's heart ached as she stood outside the room, watching the slow rise and fall of her sister's chest. She was awake, but still unconscious in so many ways. As Amaka sat by her sister's bed, she noticed something strange, a crumpled note lying on the floor next to Chioma's belongings. She picked it up, her hands trembling as she read the faint scribbled words, "I wish I could tell you why I did it, but you'd never understand." Confused, Amaka glanced around. Chioma's phone buzzed with unread messages. She picked it up, feeling a pang of guilt. It was from the boy. "Amaka, I was wrong. I need your help." But why had Chioma never sent it? Later, a police officer stopped by, mentioning that Chioma was speeding when the accident occurred. She was in a rush. Trying to avoid something, he said, but wouldn't go into more details. Was she running from someone? Was there more to her decision than reckless freedom? As Amaka grappled with these unanswered questions, the tension in the air grew thicker. She knew there were pieces of the puzzle she hadn't seen yet: Chioma's actions, her relationship, the accident. It all felt like an unfinished story, waiting to be told. Standing outside her sister's room, Amaka reflected on everything that had brought them here: their shared childhood, the promises made beneath the mango tree, and the painful decisions that had torn them apart. She thought about how Chioma had always wanted to be free, to follow her own path, and how Amaka had always tried to protect her, sometimes to the point of suffocating her. Now, she understood, Chioma hadn't needed her to control her, only to love her. But love had been so complicated, so painful. As Amaka stared at the closed door to Chioma's room, she made a vow: no matter what, she would rebuild what had been broken between them. This wasn't the end, this was just the beginning.